thanks for coming. Thanks for being willing to come out. For those of you who have no interest in this, hopefully you learned something tonight, or if you have no background in this whatsoever, ideally you will learn something new. And if you have some interest, or you've already been looking at this a little bit, hopefully I'll give you a little bit different perspective on investing that most people don't take. But I'm going to title this Real Estate Investing with a Real Purpose. So the whole purpose of this is real estate investing in properties and businesses and things like that. So if you've ever heard the word turn, tonight you're going to get learning. Oh, there you go. Boop. That's your opening joke. All right, so this is what we're going to go over. What? All right, so what will we learn? All right, we're going to learn how to think in properties. All right, we're going to learn what a real purpose looks like. What we want to accomplish, right, what each of us want to accomplish as couples and single people. And then what assets and liabilities truly are. What our budgets can look like. We'll take some time with each one of these, do a little workshop event and break down, how you guys really sit down and think about it. That's what the booklets are for, is for you to actually take notes and think about stuff through. It's not just taking notes on this. It's actually, you don't take any notes on this. You're going to work through the stuff on your own. So as we go, I'll take breaks and you'll talk with each other and stuff. So we'll go through a budget and we'll break down what all that looks like, and then how to find and choose an asset, and then we'll actually go about finding assets in Rocky Mount. So we'll pull out your phones and mount and everything. I'm going to test your gag reflex. All right, so at the end we're going to try and talk you out of this. And then we're going to just have some fun and think of business ideas that are also ways to do some investing also. So you guys, that'd be learning. All right, so first off, this is how we're going to think. All right, people have a common tendency to think of a macro negative scope. All right, think within a macro negative scope. And what that means is that they can take whatever the negative possibilities are and they can blow them up 1,000 times. All right, people have a huge tendency of doing this. Especially when it comes to investing, especially when it comes to money, they can say, well, I could lose this, or I could lose this, or this could happen, or blah, 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 blah. Okay? And I understand those are real things we got to think about, and we will, but as we go through this, I want everyone to take the mindset of a macro positive approach, macro positive scope, and think what could go right, what actually could be accomplished, what could come from this. All right? So that's what we're looking through, is the macro positive scope. All right? And so with that, we're also thinking very long term. We don't want to just think, I buy a rental house and I have the one and now I got the money and that's it, right? We want to think long term, like what are we actually trying to accomplish? What can actually be accomplished? What does life look like if you are doing this and everything? So we're thinking, years down the road towards our kids, towards grandkids, like what can we leave behind even? So we're looking at a positive perspective of how we can leave stuff for our kids. And then the main thing that I don't feel like many people who do real estate investing, they don't think of it as a service-oriented investing. They tend to think, there's two phrases here, right? So make your money work for you, which is the way a lot of people go about it, right? They want to take their money, spend it on things to make more money for themselves so they can have more things, right? But we want to take the phrase, make your money work for God. And in that, saying that we want to make our money work for other people, right? When you buy a rental house, you're not just providing a service to someone who needs a home, you're also providing income for your future kids who can actually be receiving more money down the road, and it's something you can leave behind to them. And also with that, what we think about is, as Christians, all right, ideally, we would be the people making more money because, ideally, as Christians, we would actually use it for the kingdom, right? People who tend to make a lot of money, not always, but we kind of victimize those people in the world nowadays where we think like they are bad men or whatever. We see them as bad people who make lots of money as in whatever way CEOs. But I don't think that's an accurate perspective. I think we need to focus on we should be aiming to make money for the purpose of serving the kingdom. Okay, and with that we're serving other people, and in that we're serving God. So we're going to take some time here. All right, we're going to think of financial goals. Hashtag financial goals. All right, so who is somebody that you look up to financially? Okay, I'm going to write this down in your books. Think of some people who you look up to financially. What do they do that makes you look up to them financially? So it can be a list of people. It can be one person. You're just like, oh man, this guy's really wealthy, or they're just really good with their money, whatever it may be. And then how do they get there? Okay, and if you don't know the how, or if you have no clue what the how could be, something that's always great to do is go ask that person, because people who are good with money tend to love helping other people know how to use their money well. So think right now, take some time with who and what, and then maybe even how if you know it. So some examples are people that we know are this elderly couple named the Colemans, and they don't live wealthily whatsoever, but they have lots of rental properties, they do a lot of investing, and they help out a lot of people with their homes. They own a little small construction company, and they just built so much wealth over years by flipping properties and buying rentals and having all that income. So that's one example. So you guys take some time to think about it. Alright, so we're going to go over assets and liabilities. Alright, people have a very common misconception of what an asset is. And so this isn't based off my definition whatsoever. This is from a book I've read and several books I've read and a lot of really wealthy people and what they consider assets and liabilities. People often tend to think that owning a home and a car is an asset, okay? And the issue is it's not, right? Because an asset is defined as anything that makes you money, and a liability is anything that loses you money, or you spend money on, or costs you money, whatever. And so, not that owning a home is bad, right? Not that owning a car is bad, right? Because you need those things, all right? But you cannot say that like when you buy a home, it's a great asset to you, all right? Because it just costs you money, right? Because you're spending more money on it over and over again. And so, you know, there is the aspect where you need homes, but we also should be pursuing things called assets where they bring in money. So things like rental properties are an example, stocks are an example, small businesses are an example, even investing in other small businesses is another great example. There's other ways of making money to bring it in, even using your property. Like nowadays we got Airbnb, you have, I don't know, there's like a bunch of those websites where you can, rent out things. I can't think of what they are.
VRBO.
There you go. And then like there's all things like that. And there's even, rather than investing in stocks, they even have companies that flip homes, and you can invest in the flipping of a home. So there's just tons of ways to bring in money, to use your money. And so we want to make sure that when you're thinking externally, when you're buying stuff, you got to think, is this an asset or is this a liability? Is this going to make me money, or is it just going to continue to cost me money? And so that's just kind of the way to go about when you're purchasing things and making big purchases, like, is this going to make me money or not? Alright, so we're going to look at a real basic idea of what buying assets over time can look at. This is just as an intro, and then we're going to break it down further. Alright, so let's say you buy a house. Look at that. Say you buy a house. Boom, you just bought a freaking house. Good job. Alright, you saved up the amount, you paid the down payment, or whatever, the 20%, which is the typical. Alright, and then now you're renting it out for $800 and it costs you $550, so you're making $250 a month. Great job, alright? You save up again. Okay, you bought another house. There you go, guys. Alright? And then guess what? You're making another $250 a month. That's $500, alright? This is very basic math. Alright, buy another house, another $250. Buy another house, $250. Guess what? You bought a fifth house, and it bounced on in, and then you bought another $250. Alright? This is just real. This is not complex whatsoever. Alright? And we're going to break into it way more. Okay? But this is kind of the perspective of what you're looking at creating when you're trying to buy multiple rental properties over time. It's not like that. You don't just go out and buy 5 houses, right? Like, you want to buy property, save up, buy another property, and then this becomes your monthly income repeatedly. Alright, so we're going to continue rolling through this, but just kind of the general perspective of what a long-term goal can be. Alright, and what long-term benefits can be. So, now we're going to make a budget. Okay, so with sheets of paper, alright, you're going to look at what's your income. So, I'm saying, like, what do you get in your bank account at the end of each month? Write that out. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to really break down what do you spend money on regularly. We got things like tithing and charitable giving, right? I believe you should be tithing 10%. Charitable giving, any extra people maybe you donate to, like campus outreach or campus crusade people, or maybe you support something else. I don't know what, if anybody supports Afghanis with AIDS or anything. That's an office joke. But, all right, and then living, your mortgage, your rent, utilities, whatever you have to pay monthly for that stuff. For utilities, I would say average up on the upper end. So whatever your highest thing is, probably just drop it off a little bit. Typically, probably Rocky Mountain's about $250 a month on a house this size. So if you have a bigger house, probably $300 or something. And then internet, how much your internet costs, car, phone, insurance, student loans, any other reoccurring expenses like Hulu, Netflix, electronics, gym memberships. I think a lot of people just kind of brush those under the rugs when they're making their budget, because they think that those are just things you have to have, and they don't. And they're so cheap that they don't really shouldn't be counted in the budget, but they should, because they really add up. Especially gym memberships; those things are way more expensive.
That's what I want you to think.
Yeah, they just want you to just keep paying it out. And then random purchases. So I mean, everyone gets oil changes, right? You get
Birthdays, weddings.
Yeah, birthdays, weddings, Christmas presents, right? Like, there's gonna be a bunch of purchases over the year that occur that people don't account for in their budget because they've just, you know, it's like it doesn't happen every single month, except for they blow it out. So what we want to do is kind of guesstimate a price every month that you think could culminate that overall price. So whether it's like $150 a month, or it's, you know, depending on if you're really cheap at Christmas and you don't love people, it could be $12. I don't know. But I'd probably say somewhere between $150 range, right? Because if you, every single month, at the end of the year, between getting oil changes and something could go wrong with your car, right? Like we had to buy tires and it was like $600 or something. And so like things like that can just happen. And so let's plan that in the budget a little bit. All right, and then savings even, so, you know, take out, you can say another 10%, whatever you think you save regularly, make your decision on that. And then we're gonna see how much is left. And that's gonna kind of create an amount that you think you can invest with, okay? And so at the end of each month, and then we'll, you know, trickle out and see what the amount could be over time and how much you have to save up. So let's make your budget now, take your time and write out this stuff. You can walk through it with yourself and whoever else may know the information. You can look it up on your phone. I know we have our app on our phone that we can see the amount we bring in and everything. Good job, guys. All right, next thing then. All right, so everyone has that number. Hopefully remember it because it should be written on the bottom of the sheet of paper. All right, first of all, who's written on a sheet of paper in a long time? What a beautiful thing. All right, so finding assets. Which I should look out. Help, please. This is just hilarious. I just saw this. It's great. All right, but we're going to find some assets. All right, so we're going to look through. The next slide is actually us finding the assets. But what are we looking for? All right, how can we find them? Okay, so what are we looking for in an asset? Probably something relatively cheap, right? Something not uber expensive, because if you're buying a rental home,